Have you ever wondered why intelligent, confident people suddenly follow someone who tells them what to think, what to believe, and who to trust? Why someone who once questioned everything starts nodding to every word of a stranger and calls it truth? What if the real reason is not weakness, but a hidden psychological mechanism that almost no one sees coming until it's too late? Today, you'll uncover the forbidden psychological trick used by cult leaders not to use it, but to finally recognize it before someone uses it on you. It begins with a simple question. Do you feel misunderstood by the world? Sounds harmless, right? But that question plants a seed. It isolates your experience without you noticing. And suddenly, the person asking becomes the only one who gets you. Do you see how subtle that is? It's not persuasion through logic. It's persuasion through belonging. When someone makes you feel uniquely understood, you lower your guard, not because you're naive, but because connection feels like oxygen in a world full of noise. Cult leaders know this. They don't chase your thoughts first. They chase your longing to feel seen. And here's where most people miss the real danger. The trick isn't about control. It's about identity. Once your identity starts shifting towards someone else's narrative, you stop asking, "Is this true?" and start asking, "What would they say is true?" Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that you stopped checking the facts? That feeling is exactly where the trap begins, and it starts long before you realize anything is happening. Instead of confrontational, it feels like loyalty, and suddenly, your reality becomes divided into those who support me and those who block me. But here's the twist. They define both sides for you. They name the villains, they paint the heroes, and step by step your world shrinks until everything you believe fits inside their voice. You don't notice the walls closing in because they look like comfort. Have you ever felt lost and someone offered certainty? At first, it feels like rescue, but certainty is addictive. Once someone provides simple answers to complex problems, your brain relaxes. The tension fades. The confusion disappears. That calmness feels like truth, even when it isn't. Cult leaders don't offer facts, they offer relief. And relief is a powerful currency. When life feels chaotic, the person who gives you direction becomes the person you protect. The forbidden trick is called manufactured belonging. It's the psychological strategy of positioning oneself as the only source of emotional safety in a world of threat and uncertainty. It's subtle because it begins by lifting you up, not breaking you down. People think cults start with weakness, but they start with empowerment. You're told you're special, chosen, different. And because that message feels good, you start believing the messenger deserves loyalty. Once loyalty turns into dependency, questioning becomes betrayal. Think about it. Have you ever defended someone even when deep down something felt off? That tiny discomfort, ignored over and over, slowly builds a cage. Cult leaders know that the moment you defend them publicly, you start defending them internally, because if you admit they were wrong, you feel wrong too, and no one likes admitting they've been fooled. So you justify, rationalize, and repeat the narrative they gave you, not because he controlled, but because your pride is invested. Now look at this paradox. The more intelligent someone is, the more vulnerable they are to this trick. Sounds strange, but intelligence gives you the ability to create explanations that protect your emotional investment. You build arguments to defend what you don't want to lose. That's why high achievers, professionals, and thinkers often fall for charismatic manipulation. They don't lose themselves at once. They reinterpret themselves through someone else's lens. Let me tell you a story without names, because this story repeats everywhere. A young man searching for purpose meets a confident mentor. The mentor listens not casually, but intensely. Every dream, every frustration, every secret fear. Then one day, the mentor says softly, "The world never saw your value, but I do." That sentence hits like lightning. Not because it's true, but because it's what he always needed to hear. Months later, that young man defends the mentor against any criticism. Not because he agrees with every idea, but because losing that mentor feels like losing himself. Do you see how identity rewrites loyalty? The forbidden trick continues with controlled contrast. The leader silently elevates themselves while lowering everything outside. They don't say, "I'm the only truth." That would sound suspicious. Instead, they say, "Most people don't understand what you're capable of." And every time you nod, the bond deep. You're not just listening anymore, you're aligning. The leader never forces you. You choose, and that's what makes it powerful. You don't feel manipulated. You feel awakened. But here's the moment where everything shifts. The leader introduces a shared enemy. It could be society, the government, the media, your family, doubters, haters, skeptics. Suddenly, disagreements become attacks. Criticism becomes persecution, and questioning becomes betrayal. And here's the genius of the trick. The leader creates the enemy, then becomes your shield. Why is this trick so dangerous? Because it turns loneliness into loyalty. It transforms doubt into devotion, and it replaces personal thinking with collective identity. Humans crave meaning more than information, and someone who gives meaning gains influence over everything else. Once meaning is tied to a person, that person becomes irreplaceable. And when someone becomes irreplaceable, your freedom becomes negotiable. Let's go deeper. Cult leaders don't say, "Trust me." They say, "Trust yourself." And notice how I'm the only one who supports your real self. That's identity engineering. And once your identity shifts, everything else follows. Your values, your decisions, your relationships. You don't lose control. You just stop noticing where control went. It's not brainwashing, it's emotional outsourcing. And people outsource emotions all the time. Validation, confidence, purpose. Now here's a hidden truth. Every cult starts as a community. People don't join cults. They join support. They join understanding. They join belonging. And belonging is powerful because isolation hurts. So when someone says, "You're not alone anymore," your guard melts faster than logic can catch. The forbidden trick is not mind control, it's heart capture. Once the heart is captured, the mind follows obedience. Have you ever stayed in a bad situation because leaving felt like losing your tribe? Friendships, relationships, workplaces, they all use this same mechanism to some degree. That's why understanding this trick protects you everywhere. You're not being taught how to manipulate. You're learning how to recognize when someone tries to replace your voice with theirs. And that awareness is the antidote. Cult leaders also use incremental commitment. Tiny steps that feel harmless, a small favor, a public agreement, a repeated affirmation, and each step rewires your internal narrative. If I chose this, it must be right. The trick, IS&T, forcing big decisions, guiding small ones until the big decision feels inevitable. By the time someone realizes what's happening, they've already defended the leader too many times to turn back. But here is the part almost no one talks about. The forbidden trick only works if it makes you feel chosen, not manipulated, not inferior, chosen. There is something intoxicating about feeling like you reap part of a hidden truth others aren't ready for. It gives you a sense of elevation, and elevation blurs the line between devotion and dependence. Once dependence sets in, obedience doesn't feel like submission, it feels like loyalty. And loyalty can blind even the sharpest minds. Now ask yourself, have you ever ignored a warning sign because the person giving it made you feel important? That feeling is exactly where manipulation begins. Not because you're foolish, but because you're human. And humanity is built on connection. But connection without boundaries is how control grows unnoticed. The forbidden trick becomes complete when doubt is rewritten as weakness. Instead of encouraging questions, the leader subtly punishes them through disappointment or silence. Not screaming, not threats, just emotional withdrawal. And because belonging became your identity, losing that belonging feels like losing yourself. So you silence your own doubts before anyone else has to. That's the moment the leader no longer needs to control you. You control yourself through the framework they gave you. But here's the empowering truth. Once you recognize this mechanism, it loses power. Because the moment you question why someone needs to isolate your identity to gain loyalty, you reclaim your voice. The moment belonging becomes a choice instead of a dependency, you regain freedom. And the moment admiration doesn't replace autonomy, influence turns back into inspiration instead of control. Now let me ask you something important. Where in your life are you giving someone authority over your identity? A teacher, a partner, a mentor, a creator online. Authority becomes dangerous when questioning feels forbidden, so ask anyway. Curiosity is your shield. Autonomy is your armor. Awareness is your escape hatch. The truth is, the forbidden psychological trick used by cult leaders isn't mystical or supernatural. It's human psychology twisted into a cage. But cages can be opened once you see the bars. And today, you've seen them. Not to fear connection, but to protect it. Not to avoid community, but to stay conscious within it. Real connection doesn't demand your identity. It honors it. So next time someone says, "Only I understand you," ask yourself, why do they need to be the only one? Next time someone says, "Everyone else is wrong," ask, why can't I decide for myself? And when someone gives you certainty, remember, certainty without freedom is not guidance. It's captivity. If this opened your eyes even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Someone out there might already be stepping into a cage they can't see. Share this awareness. Speak your truth and never let anyone rewrite your identity in their image. Because the most forbidden trick of all isn't how they take your mind, it's how they convince you to give it away.